The Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, has unveiled a full-scale model of a new short-range ballistic missile, or SRBM. This missile is called the BM-04. This missile was unveiled at a defense exhibition in Hyderabad last week. This missile is 11.5 tons heavy, it's 10 meters long, it has a diameter of 1.2 meters. It can be fired from a 6x6 launcher, the truck that you see in the picture. The missile has a range of between 400 and 1500 kilometers. It's believed to have a 500 kg payload, but it has a very interesting re-entry vehicle that you see at the tip of the missile. It suggests that this is yet another hypersonic missile from the DRDO. Now bear in mind that the DRDO just tested a naval hypersonic missile last November. Is this another hypersonic missile from the DRDO's stables? Joining me now to decode this new BM-04 missile is Lieutenant General P. Ravi Shankar. General Shankar, a new DRDO ace. Tell us what you can make out of this new BM-04 missile. There has not been a statement from the DRDO about this missile, but a lot of the specs have been released in the public. The pictures are there. Of course, the full-scale model has been released with all its specs. Tell us how important this missile is to our military.
Thanks a lot once again, Sandeep, for calling me over for the show. This missile is very important. First and foremost, I think it puts us on a different pedestal altogether. A hypersonic missile, which can be fired from a mobile launcher with a range of a minimum 400 to about 1500 kilometers. My guess, I went through the specs of this and the hypersonic test we did.
Yes.
Both are approximately the same. I think this is the land version. What they tested on that day last year was the naval version or the sea version. So it gives you an all-round capability. But interestingly, you have to see this missile in conjunction with the Pralay missile, which was shown during the Republic Day and which we spoke of also.
Yes.
The Pralay has a range of about 150 to 500 kilometers. This has a range of about 400 plus.
Right.
So you have a ceaseless. Add this with the BrahMos which you have, and all that. So plus the lower ranges of which you get from Pinaka and Smerch, you have now a plethora of equipment which covers the entire border from the LAC well into the depth. That's the first important thing.
Right.
And similarly, naval variation of this, which goes to about 1,500 kilometers range, gives you control over the Indian Ocean. From any part of the peninsula you fire, you can almost cover the Arabian Sea, North Bay of Bengal, and well down into the Indian Ocean. So I think it's a very, very great capability, hypersonic capability.
Right.
Which is very important.
So
that's the first.
Yes. Please continue, General Shankar.
The second part, which is very important, is, this equipment need not be inducted into the mountains.
Right.
With just 400, with a dead range of 400, anyway, you need to be, if you want to fire on the LAC or thereabouts, 100, 200 kilometers ahead of the LAC, it's good to be outside the that dead range, which means that you can operate this missile from planes. So you don't have to push it up into the mountains and go through and all that. And if you say, just for argument's sake, you're going to put it in the Eastern Command.
Yes.
Right from Siliguri, you can deploy it anywhere you want, and you cover a whole swath of the LAC.
Right.
And that too from normal planes. And so where your mobility is good, you don't need special specs for your vehicle to go up. You're not bothered about the weight of the missile.
Right.
You're not bothered about taking it to high altitude and roads and all those problems which come with it. You're not affected by the inclement weather which you get in high altitude. So I think this is a great capability when you have to look at it from the larger sense.
Right, absolutely. Very important observations, General Shankar. The fact that you don't have to actually deploy this missile in the mountains, and you can actually fire it from the planes. And you've also told us that this is actually a China-specific missile. This is meant to target the PLA on the Tibetan plateau and beyond.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the way the range and the specs of the missile makes me think this way. I can use it this way. As a gunner, I will think this way. And what's more, I can reach into the operational and the strategic depth of Tibet. And Tibet has very few roads.
Right.
And the main roads which are opposite us, if you can cover them from a, your own side, that too
Yes.
from the plains, I think it gives you a tremendous advantage. And that too a hypersonic.
Right.
And that too with a re-entry capability, which is, I think, very good.
Right. So explain for our viewers, General Shankar, why a hypersonic missile? Why wouldn't you fire a normal ballistic missile from the planes with a range of about 1400, 1500 kilometers?
See, the thing with the hypersonic missile is that it can penetrate the enemy air defense systems clean.
Right.
It's very difficult for the enemy air defense systems or the tracking systems to latch onto this missile and then fire a counter missile and then track it and all that. Because if you are firing at Mach 5, Mach 6,
Yes.
and there's a boost glide capability from what I made out of the specs.
Right.
Now, if you have, terminal trajectories at Mach 5, Mach 6, the interceptor has to be at Mach 8, Mach 10,
Right.
which we don't have. So you penetrate their A2AD systems completely.
Right. Absolutely. Very important capability when you want to penetrate the enemy's A2AD capability, which is the air defense bubble that exists on the Tibetan plateau. And General Shankar, I've heard the Air Force talk about this very dense AD bubble that's been set up on the Tibetan plateau. A lot of radars, interlocking radars with interlocking fields of fire, missiles, all of this heavy A2AD, which makes it really difficult for the Air Force to operate along the Tibetan plateau. While the Air Force has a natural advantage of taking off from the planes, they will find it very hard to penetrate this A2AD bubble that you mentioned. So does this hypersonic missile, this new one, BM-04, does it offset our fighter strength shortfall, the fact that, we can now target the positions along the Tibetan plateau using the missile rather than sending manned fighter aircraft?
Yeah, first and foremost, any capability of this kind is it actually reinforces your fighter capability.
Right.
You operate in conjunction with each other as a pairing system, manned, unmanned kind of a philosophy. So that's the first thing. So it gives you options. The second point which you made is, it offsets your shortage of manned aircraft.
Right.
We all know that our aircraft is not coming online.
Yes.
Whether it's Tejas or AMCA or whether we're going for F-35 or we're going for advanced Rafales or whatever,
Right.
they're not going to be coming in time and your squadron strength is going down. But, right. To offset that in terms of numbers, you have this capability which is a short-term capability because this is indigenous. You can manufacture it at pace, at
Right.
scale, at much lesser cost, right? And the same and integrated with your existing offensive systems or defensive systems, whichever way you look at it, or your surveillance network, everything. And you maintain your capability, which is, I think, very, very, very important.
Right.
And it's not that a missile capability replaces a fighter squadron capability,
Yes.
a fighter capability. I'm not suggesting that. All I'm saying is that in the interim period, when your fighter's strength is going down and you're not able to replace it on a one-to-one basis, such missile capability, such firepower capability,
Yes.
it's not only the hypersonic.
Right.
You also, like I said earlier, BrahMos is equally fast.
Yes.
BrahMos also travels at about 3 to 3.5 Mach.
Yes.
So that's just about lesser than hypersonic.
Right.
So you have BrahMos, you have Pralay, you have Pinaka, which is going to go up to 120 kilometers shortly.
Yes.
And if you put a ramjet on a Pinaka, it can go up to 240 kilometers. So
Right.
you have this capability coming up, which is going to be telling.
Right.
And what it gives you is a huge deterrence capability. The
Right.
Chinese will have to think very hard before they try any misadventure once these capabilities are transformed into actual deployments on ground.
Right. So, Jan Shankar, this missile that we just saw is a model. Like you said, it's a firing, it doesn't seem to be an actual missile. It's a firing prototype, a model of a full-scale model of a actual missile. Give us an idea how long this will take to go from, test firing to induction. Now, we've just tested one of those hypersonic missiles in November. That was the naval variant. If this is the land version of that naval variant, how long does it actually have to take to get inducted into the Indian Army?
Okay. Look, the naval version has been tested. The basic vehicle has been tested. There's
Right.
nothing more to invent in that. The same thing will be fired here. It's only that certain modifications will be made, and you need to find a launcher on which you mount it and you fire it. So, if now that's already 1 year down the line, and my view is that if you want to go in for firing and testing and all that, maybe the basic, you're very clear about your hypersonic system, it will take you a couple of years. That's the a rough estimate. And within a year or two of that, you can deploy them.
Right. So when you say a couple of years, are you talking of 4 and 5 years or even shorter timelines?
See, at this point of time, you have the capability of your technology is established and you've
Right.
done the testing. So if you are smart and you do parallel, keep testing, keep developing, and parallelly start going for production, which has been
Right.
the case for most of our systems. Then you are in a different lane. Maybe in a hurry, you can do it within 3 years, 3 to 4 years. Uh, if it pinch comes to a shove kind of a thing, then go do it in within a couple of years. You do it at accelerated pace,
Right.
2 years. But I don't think we are in that kind of a situation as of now.
Right. So it can be
Uh,
done, it can be fielded in a very short period of time. Less than
Short
5
time,
years
yeah,
is what you're saying. But,
5 years.
what has been the experience, General Shankar, worldwide for hypersonic missiles? The Chinese have them. The Russian Federation has, of course, demonstrated 2 of these missiles in combat in Ukraine. What is the general understanding of the utility of hypersonics globally?
See, China has been using it as a carrier breaker.
Right.
You know, they are using the naval version extensively, DF-17s and DF-21s, because they want to hit the carriers at in the the Western Pacific.
Right.
Okay, that means you need a high degree of accuracy. While China has demonstrated this capability of firing a hypersonic with FOBs, which is
Yes.
a very crucial capability. It puts them in a different league altogether. But they have not been able to give that kind of a precision which you need for hitting a seaborne target. Okay, that might take a little time. But having said that, but that same capability you can deploy against land forces also. So they have this capability, and probably they are ahead of us by about a couple of years. There's no news of their deploying this hypersonic capability against in Tibet. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with one, because the fact is that they are at a disadvantage in terms of aircraft. So they would
Right.
have worked overtime and deployed it. We wouldn't know. We at this point of time, like I said, overall air power, there's a balance. We are better off in fighter aircraft.
Yes.
They are better off missile systems, and vice versa. But give 2-3 years more in the advances which we have made, and if Tejas comes in and we get this 404 engine and 414 engine, and things go as scheduled for our fighters, and missile technology, we just have to invest into the production part. The technology development is already there. That's a sunk cost which we put that cost not now. We've been putting the technology cost in from the 80s, late 80s, ever since I was there in the IGMDP in 1988. So
Right.
that's not much. So we can do it at scale and pace. So I think we are on a good track. I think we are in a good space in this position. My view is that we need to do more for integration, ISR,
Right.
space. Those are the things that I think we need to really focus on. We need to focus on AI-based, domain awareness,
Right.
which is very important in this kind of a situation. The faster we do that, the better it is.
Right. When you say
And that's the
integrate
theaterization
ISR,
of-
it's basically the sensor shooter link
Yeah,
needs
the
to be
sensor
strengthened.
shooter link. Because see, these targets are going to be in depth. It's not going to be that
Right.
you're going to get the target easily. So you have to acquire the target and you have to hit the target at the time you need. You can hit a target anytime, but all these targets, when you hit, the effect is time specific. So you have to be very clear when you're hitting it and why you're hitting it. And that is the deterrent capability you can put in. Okay. So if you want to interdict the area and seal off an area so that there's no ingress or egress, you have to do it at the right time at the right place. And that
Right.
capability you'll only get if you have good ISR.
Right.
And that ISR also has to be a mix of human, uh, special forces insertions,
Right.
UAV, space, electronic methods. There may be
Right.
whole lot. That's a huge chapter. As
Right.
much as you develop your rockets and missiles and all that,
Yes.
that whole story has to come up. And I think we are not yet put that in place, and we are not. I think we need to do a lot of work on that.
We need to do a lot of work on that indeed, General Shankar. But thank you very much. Very scintillating observations just on that missile, model that we just saw. And hopefully it will translate into a full firing model, a full firing prototype. And we'll come back to you for your comments on that hypersonic missile. But thank you very much, General Shankar.